Let's bring in MPs. We'll be joined by Rob Oliphant, the Foreign Affairs Parliamentary Secretary. Jasraj Singh Halan is the Conservative immigration critic, and Jenny Kwan, of course, is the NDP immigration critic. And let me just start with you, Jasraj Singh Halan. What on the immigration side? What are you looking for now from the Canadian government?
Well, thank you, Evan. And first and foremost, let me just say, and I think I can say this on behalf of my other colleagues on the show, that our hearts and our prayers are with the Ukrainian people, and we stand in solidarity with them. Look, we've been calling for visa-free travel for some time now. It was in the Conservative platform. More than a month ago, I had sent a letter to the immigration minister because of all the failures that we saw in Afghanistan, that we need to act now because of those previous failures that we saw. We should have visa-free travel. We should expedite all of the current applications that are inside from Ukraine to get people here before anything happens. Yesterday, during our immigration committee, I brought forward a motion again to help the people from Ukraine, which included visa-free travel as well. Sadly, the Liberals voted against it. Thankfully, we had our colleagues from the NDP and the Bloc who voted for it, and we passed that motion. We continuously ask for this because of the examples that we have, just as recently as today, when people are calling into the line that have applications that are a year or two old, they're being told that their applications are not put on priority. So visa-free travel would help alleviate that. And this Liberal-made backlog in immigration, almost at 2 million applications, is stopping people from coming here. We saw that same example in failure in Afghanistan.
Okay, and we did. I wonder if there's lessons learned. Jenny Kwan, you and I were speaking about this, and I know I think there's bells going off in the House there. Jenny Kwan, what do you need to see right now?
Well, I would first of all say as well, solidarity and support to Ukrainians all the way through. Now, in terms of the Canadian government, there's no question, and I think we saw this coming, that we needed immigration refugee measures in place for Ukrainians. And right now, the government's just starting to put some of these measures in place, and it consistently gets stuck with roadblocks in terms of documentations requirements. And what we really need to do is indeed move forward with visa-free travel for Ukraine. This is something that the NDP's called for since 2017. And now in this situation, it is more urgent than ever. The other thing that is absolutely critical as well is that the Canadian government needs to make sure that additional resources are put in place for IRCC. We cannot sort of just rob Peter and pay Paul and take staff from another stream to do this work, because that's what they did with the Afghanistan crisis. And as a result, the immigration situation in all the other streams with IRCC just grew and ballooned with backlogs. So we can't repeat that error again. But first and foremost, these are unprecedented times, and it requires the government to take action that are unprecedented. So we need to move away from, the traditional practice and move to something innovative and act with the level of urgency that's required. I have so many constituents who are writing to me now whose loved ones are there, and they're just worry sick. Some of them have had their visa turned rejected before, and now they're just saying, please get the visa-free application in place, process in place to get people to safety.
Mr. Oliphant, there was supposed to be, by the way, the Immigration Minister, Sean Fraser, was supposed to make an announcement today. That got canceled, but you got countries like Ireland and the UK have waived visa requirements for Ukrainians or close relatives. Is Canada on the cusp of waiving the visa requirements? You're listening to the opposition, and it seems that time matters here. We see what happened in Afghanistan. When is this going to happen?
Time matters very greatly, and we are on the cusp of one of the largest migrations of people. And I'm not going to overstate it, but I'm not going to certainly understate the gravity of this situation, where we could have millions of refugees as well as others fleeing Ukraine. Canada and this government has been preparing for this for weeks and weeks. We are very aware of the situation. That's why we have fast-tracked and made a special stream for Ukrainians to come to Canada. We've extended work visas and permits for students and workers, and we continue to find ways to ensure that we are fast-tracking all the processes. 4,000 people have already been fast-track processed in the last several weeks. However, the reality is that we are facing a huge migration issue, and that includes refugees. And what I would say is Canadians have spoken with one voice on this issue, loudly and clearly. They want Canada not only to do its part, but to do more than its part in humanitarian, in military assistance, in lethal and non-lethal, in financial sanctions, the way we are doing it, and on immigration and refugees. Canada, this government is doing its part. I've been in opposition. I know what it is like to do that. But I've also been in government, and in government we are taking this extremely seriously. Every day, Minister Fraser, the immigration minister, is doing that.
Okay, but just to be specific then, is the government preparing for or considering waiving all visa requirements? Is that on the table, or is it just not going to happen?
Every issue is on the table right now. I would say to watch news over the coming days very closely, that we will be finding ways that Canada and Canadians are going to play their part in helping ensure that we have every possible way to keep as many Ukrainians safe as possible. We're doing that on every front, including immigration. Immigration is only one of the aspects on this war. We're only 6 days into this war. Let's get very clear. And every day that we have been in this war, Canada has had extremely strong measures. We're doing that lockstep in step with our allies, with like-minded countries, and with others. We've had a huge success multilaterally, leading the way. Our Minister Jolie has been out front on this issue. She's on the ground right now. She is discussing neighboring countries and how they're responding to this crisis, and we will be there. We'll be there when it comes to ensuring that Ukrainians have as much safe passage and fair, safe passage as possible.
Mr. Land, does that answer satisfy you in terms of the speed at which this is moving?
Evan, I would fully disagree that they are putting everything on the table there. The proof is in the pudding. We saw the failures in Afghanistan. We found out through the Afghanistan committee that this government knew the fall of Kabul was going to come, and they were briefed on it even in December of 2020. They took no action. We've been calling for visa-free travel for some time. And if they're saying that's on the table, then why did their Liberal MPs on the Immigration Committee vote against that yesterday? And just to double down, one of the Liberal MPs at that committee also was quoted saying that just because we passed a bunch of motions today, that's why I'm going to vote against this today. So to say that they want that to be, that it's on the table and then show something else, time and time again, this government is not ready for any crisis. They've been briefed on these things from before. And when you have 2 million applications stuck in backlog, which is a record, this Liberal-made immigration backlog, look, we are trying to take a Team Canada approach. We're trying to get past this Liberal bureaucratic mess that they've created in immigration so people can come here to safety. The Canadians of Ukrainian heritage that we've been talking to have made it very clear. They just want their families safe here. A lot of them want to return back home to Ukraine. They will consider Ukraine their home again. But a lot of them are being turned away from temporary visas because the IRCC is saying that they're afraid they won't go back. So we need to create this visa-free travel so people can get back.
Evan, with all due respect, we need to move beyond anecdote and story in this. Our government is clear. The situation is completely different from any other situation. We are not playing politics with this, and I don't think Canadians want us to play politics with us. We have a clear agenda, taking it every step of the way. Canadians will do more than our part in making sure that Ukrainian people are as safe as possible. We're in the midst of a war. We have bombs falling on people. We have humanitarian aid, and we need to keep doing that.
Unfortunately, I've got the U.S. Ambassador to Canada waiting.
We are doing our work.
Rob Oliphant, Jasraj Singh Halan, and Jenny Kwan, you got to vote in 30 seconds, so I got to let you go. Okay, you all three got to run. I appreciate it. Thank you.